Let's talk about the build to WWE Evolution 2, because while the card is shaping up to be pretty good, the build has been mid, and overall a disservice to women's wrestling. Also, we all know this episode of Smackdown was taped earlier in the week due to the 4th of July, and the results have been all over the timeline all week. So the show today is going to be a mixture of your hot takes and a Smackdown review abridged. But we did see the return of Trish Stratus, who will be facing Tiffany Stratton at Evolution.
It's the Hall of Famer herself! And my biochemistry is suddenly having a 4th of July fireworks party of its own, Joe Tash!
Trish talks about how much they used to have to fight for back in the day and how historic this all is. Tiffany also says it would be an honor if you would face me at Evolution. Tensions would be kicked up a notch when Trish set her sights on the title.
I would just like to make one thing clear. This isn't gonna be easy. It's not the Attitude Era anymore.
Outside of the little Attitude Era dig, she just responds to WWE Catchphrase Era in 2025 and panders to the crowd.
You both are gonna realize that the WWE Universe runs on Tiffy time.
And that's just it. That's it. Great, nice build, guys. They teamed up, were friends, and after some lukewarm tension, they're feuding. Cool. When did feuds get so lazy? This is the world champion. Same goes for Io Sky. Why are we just having the world champions ask opponents to face them? The Evolution build this time around has been ultimately disappointing. I understand Liv Morgan's injury didn't help things, and God knows where my Bellas are gonna be now, but even around it, the booking has been so lazy. And look, I'm not disrespecting the card. I'm sure Trish and Tiff will be great, Rhea and Io will steal the show, sure. And while I know she has her critics for becoming NXT Women's Champion, I'm not a JC Jane hater either. I'm sure her and Jordynne Grace are gonna do great. And we're probably gonna finally see Jordynne Grace as NXT Women's Champion, or maybe JC Jane finally gets a big moment as champion as well. Either way, I'm not disrespecting the card. And by no means am I disrespecting the women involved in putting this event together. I love the idea of this event. That is not what I'm saying at all. But if you're going to build a women's pay-per-view, it needs to be built just as well as you would if this was an all-men's pay-per-view. Even the build for the 4-way tag match has been quite lazy. And the saddest thing is, if this PLE fails, the women will be blamed and we won't get another one for a while. Even though WWE could not have made it harder for this event to be successful with a lackluster build and putting it on the same weekend as 3 other major wrestling shows. The women have always and will always deserve better. We also saw a tease for the idea of Jade versus Trish at SummerSlam, and then Naomi attacked Jade and showed off her fire Money in the Bank briefcase.
Should have proceeded with caution.
At least with getting Jade Naomi again at Evolution, it has a story built in and it makes sense. It's not just being shoehorned onto the card. Also, shout out to Naomi, as always, consistently a highlight of wrestling in 2025. Then elsewhere on SmackDown, we had the return of Drew McIntyre.
You hang up. No, you hang up. You hang up. No, please. You hang up. Oh, shut up. That's what you both sound like to me, and it's pathetic.
Drew would say it's destiny for him to go on to be the one to rip it from Cody when he wins the title from Cena.
I won't hesitate. Unlike somebody. RKO! RKO!
It'll be McIntyre versus Orton at Saturday night's main event, and there's plenty of history there, so it should be fun.
Randy Orton has left the building. But I'll tell you what, if you want Randy, you can have him next week. Saturday night's main event.
Seemingly, Jacob versus Drew long-term is the play too, so that will slap.
You ready to get in where you fit in? Yeah. Yada I mean then.
Me when I'm having a catchphrase off, but my opponent is Samoan. Still kind of wish they were doing something more interesting with SummerSlam considering all the people that could be in play, but Cena Cody too it is. And again, I hate to have the image like I'm one of those YouTubers, one of those creators that complains about everything. I'm not. I'm so positive most of the time. And it just feels like when it comes to the WWE Championship in the main event of SummerSlam and Evolution 2, there are so many better paths you could have taken to get here, and you had the time. But I'll talk more about that later on the show. Also, Solo Sikoa's family is complete, calling them his MFTs, My Family Tree.
It's nothing like a bloodline. This group is way more stronger and dangerous than ever. These are my MFTs. my family tree. And now, my family is complete.
To which everyone has said, what about Tama Tonga? Yeah, I have no idea, but it is weird. They took his MFT nickname, used it for the faction, and Tama isn't even in it. But if the family is now complete with the addition of Tama Tonga, what's next for Tama? Maybe he'll show back up to help Jacob in taking the fight alongside Jimmy. Either way, Smackdown ended with Jacob being put through the announce tables, so he might need that help after all.
Oh, it crashes through the reinforced announce desk!
And let me know your wrestling hot takes down in the comments below. It can be current day or it can be in history, and you'll have a chance of being in the next episode. I love that Naomi has her own custom Money in the Bank briefcase, and hopefully this becomes a permanent thing for next Money in the Bank holders. I completely agree. And I'd love to know down in the comments below, out of all the custom Money in the Bank briefcases we've had, what is your favorite of all time? A sleeper you could mention was Damien Sandow's briefcase. Even though he failed, it really suited who he was. It was great. Obviously, we've got Naomi, hers is fantastic. Tiffany Stratton's was really great. You've also got the likes of Rob Van Dam and CM Punk. If Evan Bourne was still in the WWE, he would be a bigger star than any mid-carder except LA Knight. Yeah. It's crazy because I couldn't tell you where Evan Bourne is nowadays. I don't even know if he still wrestles. I don't know. But let me tell you something about Evan Bourne. That man, both in SmackDown vs. Raw, Evan Bourne had all the potential to be a star in the WWE, and it is such a shame that things didn't work out. And also, I'll never forget him being RKO'd out of the airborne on Raw. A lot of people want Cena Cody at SummerSlam to be a triple threat with Orton. Storyline wise, I think it needs to just be Cena Cody. For me, maybe the biggest argument of it being a triple threat is obviously storyline wise, it makes more sense for it to be a triple threat. But I also think Big Match John just performs better in big matches nowadays that are multi-men. I just feel like the dynamic of a fresh match, we've never seen this triple threat before. Triple threats are always awesome. It would have just been better. What if John Cena cuts his opening promo and hears this? You think you know me? Oh, you know, it's definitely not going to happen, but I'd be seated for my goat, okay? That's the rated R superstar right there. I think Cody will turn heel at SummerSlam and John will turn face. Ooh, you know, I would not hate to see it. I wouldn't, although I still feel like this Cody heel turn thing, they're gonna keep drawing out. Honestly, I'd rather see Tiffany Stratton versus Chelsea Green than a match against Trish. I just think Trish should rather lose against Julia to elevate the US title. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I wouldn't have minded that. I also feel like we're beyond ready for Chelsea Green to take that next leap. Deonte DDJ will dethrone Solo Sikoa and take down the Team U bloodline by just yapping about... Oh, here we go again. Zilla Fatu needs to debut ASAP. Have Jacob and Zilla win the tag belts and then have them feud with the new bloodline. That would be peak. Ooh. I don't know about them winning the tag belts because how many storylines do you need to involve the bloodline on SmackDown? Like, you don't need every single title to involve a bloodline member. But I certainly would love to see Zilla Fatu show up sooner rather than later. And I think given that we're slowly approaching War Games season, he might be here sooner than we think. Seth cashes in on Trick to become TNA World Champion. Oh my god. Can you imagine the scenes of Seth Rollins, a WWE mainstay, holding the TNA World Championship? That would be nuts. Would you rather watch another WLC match or Naomi versus Jade in a mud match? Oh god. You know, I feel like if they did a mud women's wrestling match in 2025, it would just erase all of the progress we've made. So give me another WLC. Although really at this point in 2025, is the WLC match kind of offensive? Am I done either way with this question? I can't keep up anymore.